And now on Who's Views, it's time for the latest headlines with JT and the Whotastic panel.
Hello and welcome to Who's Views. And have you heard? Never fear, RTD is here. That's what the producer of Doctor Who would have us believe. And also, Millie Gibson, she's gone from the TARDIS. Joining me tonight to discuss this and a couple of other things we've got for you, I have got Paul and I have got the third Doctor, Ian. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
Listen, I want to start first of all by just saying thank you to everybody that has given us so much support and watched our Tom Baker specials over the last few days. We've had a ball actually talking about Tom because, of course, he celebrated his 90th birthday over the weekend. So we've had some great comments, and I just want to say a huge thank you to everybody for those comments. And I also want to thank George Seaton, because George was on in the chat for our Sharda show. Sharda show. That sounds... Whew. Yeah, so he was there for that, wasn't he, guys? Remember last night? And we were talking about the Krogs. Do you remember we talked about the Krogs?
Yeah.
And he said that he remembered from the Doctor Who exhibition number 2, the museum in Blackpool, that they'd had the Krog with all the tiles taken off it. So it was just the costume. Then they'd stuck a Nymon head on the top of it. Do you remember he was saying this? And I couldn't remember this. I don't remember seeing that in Blackpool at all, because that's something I would definitely have taken the photograph on and complained about. Well, he sent me some pictures. So thank you, George, for this. Now, here it is.
Oh,
so that is the Krog costume with the tiles removed. And yeah, the Nymon head dolloped on the top.
Wow.
And I mean, they've got no ears, no horns. Weird.
No horns, yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Who are misses, yeah. So.
Well, yeah. I was just trying to think of some reason why they wouldn't do that. Probably they were collecting them, or they were selling them on the illegal trade. I don't know there, but it's probably for health and safety, wasn't it? Really, because they were quite sharp, if you remember. But it just doesn't look right at all, does it?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's really weird though if they vandalised the Krog costume by taking all the tiles off. That seems a bit disrespectful, doesn't it?
Totally. So
I mean,
there you go.
A mess, doesn't it? It just looks. It's neither something or nothing. It's not a Nymon. It's not a Krog. It's just. It's just
weird.
It's the kind of thing that Davros would have had in that cave with the clam.
It's like that Ice Warrior costume slithering about. Yeah.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. But yeah, thank you to George for sending that to us. Really, really appreciate that. And yes, also, I want to say thank you very much to Blue Worm, who joins us in the chat as well. Blue Worm, because it turns out he's an artist. And you know, I was saying to people, right, okay, send us any pictures you've got if you are an artist. Well, he has. And he said this as a thank you for doing our Tom Baker weekend. Look at this.
Oh, fantastic.
Isn't this wonderful? So you can see more of Blue Worm, Richard, at deviantart.com/lone animator. I hope I got that right, Blue Worm. I really do. But I love this. And this ties in very, very nicely, of course, with me being able to say we've still got another show to come in our Tom Baker season where Michael and I are reviewing the silver screen soundtrack for Revenge of the Cybermen. So thanks for sending that, Blue Worm. Really appreciate that. And because he knows, I was very excited to get this today. Ta-da! Yes, the season 17 standard Blu-ray edition. Look what else he sent.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh,
wow. Really nice. They're lovely. They're proper Nymons there as well. There we go. It's lovely.
Yeah.
Proper Nymons and a fabulous picture of the Mandrill there as well.
Fantastic, yeah.
Aren't they great? Absolutely stunning.
It's a lovely caricature of Graham Crowden as well. That's really nice.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
It does capture his portrayal of, doesn't it? Of Soul.
It certainly does, yeah. Yeah, it's lovely.
And Ian, he hasn't forgotten you.
Oh. Good doctor there. Oh, that's that. Oh, yeah. Even the spear in the TARDIS and everything.
Just brilliant, isn't it? So imaginative and wonderful. So yeah, if you want to see more,
he's got the lovely pertwee kind of stare that he does when he's being strangled. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. Listen, thank you again for that, mate. If you want to see more of Blue Worm's work, there it is there. deviantart.com/lone animator. Absolutely chuffed to bits to get those. So thank you so much. And if anybody else has got anything like that or anything at all that you want us to feature in the show or you think might be great in the show, you can get in touch with us at whosviews1@gmail.com. whosviews1@gmail.com. And thank you very much for everybody. As I say, we've had some great comments over the last wee while. I really appreciate it. Talking of which, let's go to the chat before we get on to tonight's topics and see who's there with us. We do, of course, have the lovely Kirsty's in the chat, looking after everybody in the chat there this evening. And she's always reminding me to say, please hit the like button and subscribe on your way into the stream. So hopefully you've done all that. Yeah, if you haven't subscribed and you just found us, please do subscribe. Meddling Funk is here saying good evening. And here's Garbage. Garbage also looking after everybody in the chat this evening. Thank you as well. Lovely to see that. And we had some lovely pictures from Garbage yesterday on our Sharda show. Good Sharda show. I'm going to get into trouble with that one day. Sam is here saying hello. Hello. Yep. Dickie Strawbridge is with us. Hello. Evening, JT. Evening, lovely people in the chat. Lovely to see you. Cybermatch Strikes is here. And let's have a look. Who else have we got there? Hello to Alien Airlines as well. Nice to see you. Oh, and Diggory is saying here, gotta love Mandrill.
Yeah,
absolutely. You always do, don't you? Always do. And Tony is with us. And so is Bedouia.
Bedouia.
And Raymond is with us. And the chat is growing and growing and growing. So hello to everybody that's watching. It's nice to see you all. Right, so we want to know your opinions on all this as well. I'm going to be asking Paul and obviously the Third Doctor Ian about this as well. But we're going to get started now because Doctor Who producer Joel Collins has given an interview to SFX magazine. Now, who is Joel Collins, you might be saying? Well,
he's Joel Collins.
Thank you. He's there on the left of this picture that was from Russell T. Davis's Instagram just a couple of days ago. So that's him on the left there. And he is there, as you can see, with Jane Tranter, Phil Collinson, Russell, and a Yeti.
The Yeti back, fantastic.
Oh, God. I don't even know where they got to meet that from anyway, but after what they allegedly said about Classic Who, they've got a bit of a cheek, haven't they? But he has, as I say, been talking to SF Magazine, and what he said here is, Doctor Who producer reassures fans about Disney involvement. Joel Collins said it means the show is bigger, but also the same. Let's look at this together. Here we go. Doctor Who executive producer Joel Collins has addressed Disney's new involvement in the series, reassuring fans concerned about the future of the show. It was announced back in October 2022 that Disney Plus would be the new home for Doctor Who internationally, with new episodes starting from the 60th anniversary month, airing globally on Disney Plus, while still airing exclusively on the BBC in the United Kingdom and Ireland. However, it was unclear how much creative control Disney would have over future episodes. Now speaking with SFX magazine via Games Radar, Collins has assured fans that Doctor Who won't forcibly change by Disney's involvement. He's explained, from the Disney perspective, it's just a bigger audience. So the show is bigger, but it's the same. It's hard to explain. So all of the fear that everyone had, the Disneyization, or whatever you call it, that would only happen if it wasn't being made by Russell or by somebody who wasn't a fan as Russell. So basically what he's saying in this interview with SFX is that the show's in safe hands with Russell T. Davis. Really?
Can I say something? When I was a kid with a little expression, it was liar, liar, your bum's on fire. I think that comes to mind.
It's very interesting, isn't it? It is very interesting. He goes on to say, no matter that Collins added that Davis has in fact previously drawn inspiration from Disney content, explaining, actually, he always looked at Pixar films in the way he wanted this to be. If you look at that Christmas special, he wanted it to have the fun of a Pixar film and the complex levels of a Pixar film. No matter how well they're animated, they're all in the writing. They just are. They do workshops over the jokes and the humor and the nuance. They work with every bit of that writing in Pixar to make sure that when they get to the animation, it reaches every beat. And Russell just has that innately. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, everybody, but aren't the Pixar films failing catastrophically at the moment?
I think they are, but anytime you hear someone saying the workshop to joke, that's not a good sign.
No.
Yeah.
No. They're going the same way that anything that's got Disney's involvement's going just tends to just go right down the toilet. All of it. I don't think they've had anything really that's had any serious level of success. They've all generally got worse.
Yeah. I mean, certainly all the Star Wars stuff I've tried to watch, it's gone right downhill.
Let us know what you think about this in the chat, because basically what they're saying here is that the show's in good hands. What I'm going to ask you guys, though, is from what you've seen and from what we know is coming up in what they're calling Series 1, and I'm not pointing out anything in particular, but do you think it is?
Well, it doesn't seem to be, because we've got all these hints of what may be coming. And if we're going down these issue-based, message-based shows, then it's not going to be that exciting, is it? Or very good.
No, yeah. I mean, it just struck me very odd that at this point now in this interview, Joel is saying, really, don't worry about the Disney involvement as well, because Russell's in charge of the thing. But we have...
we've already seen that. They've already had to reshoot parts of the Christmas special because apparently they did a viewing of it and they thought it needed more shooting at the start. And so they've already started doing that. They've done reshoots. So what defines interference from Disney or Disney influence? What they're talking about? How do you define that?
It just gets to me that it just seems to be, I don't know, that excerpt that I've read there from he's saying to you, don't worry about this, don't worry about Disney being involved because Russell's got this. Do you understand why it's sort of jarring with me here, Ian?
Yeah.
I mean, what's your reaction as well?
I think I would probably take Joan Collins's opinions more seriously than I can take Joel Collins's, to be quite honest. I don't I don't doubt that, JT. Anybody that's just sort of like saying, you know, having seen the way it's gone, the last few episodes, the huge disappointment and the direction that it's going in that Paul's alluded to, you know, saying it's in safe hands with RTD is no reassurance to me at all. All it just means is you're going to get more of the same, and Disney can step in at any point and request a change and it will happen, whether RTD agrees with it or not. And all he'll do is put his spin on it, like he did when they said they wanted more of him at the start. His comment was, yes, and they were absolutely right. Well, of course he's going to say that because he's shit scared he'll take the money away. So he can't do that, so he's got to agree. They're beholden to Disney now, and Disney's got them by their, I don't know, I was going to say by the balls. Well, I was going to say something like that, but then again, they've probably had them removed, haven't they? So I don't,
you never know.
Well,
Digby is saying to us here, how can you change something and keep it the same?
Yeah.
It's a good point, isn't it? I mean, you know, yeah, from what we know and what we've seen already through the Christmas episode, it even feels like the same show. It's shot in a different way. You know, it's not just that, the character is a different one. They've turned the Doctor into a disco ninny. From what I saw on that show, I just can't forgive that. It doesn't work for the character of the Doctor, you know. I just got it. Digby's also saying to you, third Doctor and Paul are right. Disney has the reverse Midas touch, more like the midden touch. And Raymond is saying we have three problems: Disney, BBC, and RTD. Apart from that, we've got nothing to worry about.
But it's really worrying though if what Russell's doing they don't like and they're changing it and the finished product is what they want. It's not in Russell's hands at all, is it? They're manipulating everything, it seems. And the end product isn't very good. So if they hadn't interfered, how better would it have been? Don't know.
I think it would have still had its messages, wouldn't it? Because that's definitely RTD's intention, but it just plays to Disney's demographic too. So they'll be happy with that. But I don't think there's been any instance since it came back in 2005 of having so many reshoots that they're indicating that there have been. So there's obviously another influence acting there.
Alien Airplanes is saying, although he cannot deny what the wider audience says, and he absolutely thinks the show is in good hands, it's far and beyond an improvement from his least favourite series of Doctor Who, which was Series 13. Yeah, I mean, the proof in the pudding will be the continuing ratings, of course, when the show comes back. But also this, what's been going on now, we've got people looking at the show now. We've got the producer coming out saying, don't worry about anything. That proves that they are aware that everything's not okay in the state of Denmark.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And they're just not listening. And it seems to me that they're not prepared to listen to that feedback and do something about it now, because they're already into filming series 2, as we know. And he's got 3 and 4 planned, and it's all going to be the same sort of thing. Come on.
It's only 9 episodes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, that's 9 hours.
I know. You never
9
get
hours
that time back. You know.
But it's what they're seeing in the films, isn't it? You know, it takes 2-3 years or whatever to get a film to screen, from pre-production and all that to a proper feature film. So you go back 3 years or so, and it was right in the midst of the woke and the Me Too and all the other sort of like inclusive, let's be diverse bollocks, because that's what it is.
Yeah.
And so they were writing everything about that. You saw it in the last James Bond and everything else. And then by the time they get the films to the screen, they're working on the assumption that that's the way that the mood is always going to be. And when the films get to the screen, people are sick of it. They didn't like it anyway, but they're sick of it 3 years on. So the films bomb because it's too far down the line to change it. And they're exactly the same here, filming, almost virtually completed filming series 2, and have not showed episode 1 of series 1 yet. And if it, hits the skids straight away, they've got no turning room. They're done.
It's totally arrogant of them, isn't it? Garbage is saying, when RTD says tough and poor baby to fans online, I don't think this is in safe hands. They're not ever going to acknowledge any of this, though, are they? They're not going to address the fact that, hang on a minute, we know that there's a problem with a huge majority of the fan base not wanting to support the show that we love. But I just never get it, Garbage. I don't understand why they never, ever, ever, ever are just saying, right, we're making the mistakes. It's not your audience that are making the mistakes at all.
No.
And it just seems very straight. We're now being told, don't worry about it. RTD's got this.
But has it?
Do that in 2005?
Well, it's not the same as 2000. I mean, I keep saying he's not the same guy as he was in 2004 when he was producing this thing for 2005. It's just not on there at all. What's Kirsty saying? Kirsty, No Time to Die is still a touchy subject for me. Oh, the bomb one. Well, yeah. Well, that's fair enough. I mean, Garbage is also saying here, the BBC was under big attack today on TV. It's not neutral, and BBC keeps shouting out far right to anyone they disagree with. We've talked about that before on the show. And just to let people outside of the UK know what Garbage is talking about there, is that today it's been announced that the BBC's social media platforms, as well as their complaints division, is now possibly going to be taken under the control of Ofcom. Now, what happens when you complain to the BBC at the moment through their phone number, if you do it the old-fashioned way, or if you do it through an email, is the BBC deal with the complaint. And obviously, they're not really investigating the complaints because nobody in the BBC can do anything wrong, allegedly, in my opinion, because nothing's ever acted on at all. So it's come to this through that report we've spoken about from Ofcom a couple of weeks ago. From that, it's been decided that all their social media platform and their division, which deals with complaints, is possibly going to be given over to Ofcom to control. Now, that's going to change a few things because complaints may actually get looked at. So who knows? We'll see. We'll see about this. But that wasn't all that Mr. Collins has said, believe it or not, because we've got this one from him as well. Doctor Who producer says to expect Easter eggs and an amazing ending to Ncuti Gatwa's first season. Producer Joel Collins teases Ncuti Gatwa's roller coaster ride first season. Yeah, so he does. The audience, he says, needs to keep an eye out for amazing, fun Easter eggs and things that are going to layer through the season. Again, he's telling SFX magazine this. To what I say is, what audience? Ooh, the bitch. Oh, the bitch. He then goes on to say, according to Collins, Gatwa's season will also feature a rather spectacular ending. What can I say? He says, it's an amazing ending. Every episode of season 1 is like a roller coaster ride, said the producer, adding that each episode in its own right is individually brilliant and it was amazing to make. I'm sure it was, but I still cannot get out of my head that this is going to be happening in the next season, pandering to a very small minority of, and I'm going to say this, very confused people who watch that old crone show. It's awful. It's ridiculous. It's brainwashed an entire generation with their nonsense and be this and all that. It's just utter nonsense. And then it's coming into Doctor Who, and we're supposed to turn a blind eye. How the hell can a drag queen be the most powerful villain in the universe, for crying out loud? It's a bloke in a frock. That's what drag is. Oh, that's going to upset some of the people in our comments, isn't it? Thanks for tuning in and watching it, by the way. Appreciate it. You don't go and watch all the other stuff about all the proper Doctor Who we do. No, this particular one. But thank you for that. But that's the case. How are people like me supposed to trust a series that's got this coming up, billed as the greatest villain the Doctor's ever? I mean, come on. Is this show in safe hands?
I don't think so.
Embarrassing.
No. Yeah.
It's embarrassing.
Get back to what I said before. I don't understand why any franchise would dump on the fan base just to get a different audience. That seems really bizarre. Really bizarre.
It's actually, when it comes to these hugely successful franchises, for want of a better word, we're all in the same boat as fans, aren't we? Because they've all done it to us, and they've all tried to get whatever agenda or messages they want to pushed into all of them. We've all suffered from this. I am terrified by the fact it's just been announced that there's a pilot in the works for a possible brand new series of the Avengers in 2024. No. You cannot bring Steed or Mrs. Peel or Miss King or anybody else like that back. Purdy, you can't do that. You can't bring them back. You just can't, because they're of their time. Because if you're doing it in 2024, you're going to mess it up. Because you have to, show business feels that they need to create something or produce something, Doctor Who included, for this very mythical modern audience, which, hey, showbiz guys, doesn't exist. It's not there.
Even when they brought it back in the 90s with that movie with Uma Thurman and Ralph Fiennes, I mean, they could, even then, and that was in the 90s, I think, it wasn't received very well, and they kind of killed that, you know.
And that had Sean Connery in it.
Connery being in it, yeah.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Awful film.
Yeah.
But this is the whole...
You know well, if they bring the Avengers back, it'll be a black or Asian Steed. Mrs. Peel will be a lesbian, and there'll be some other trans representation.
Yeah.
They don't need to do that. You know, they just need to create a new show, their own show. Don't tamper with stuff it's a thing of its time, as you said, JT.
But I'm beginning to believe now that Doctor Who is of its time as well, because what the modern version is all about is as far removed. And I can't believe I'm quite saying this, because I think Doctor Who is actually quite easy to write and produce personally, as a Doctor Who fan. If you understand the original series, which these people allegedly are supposed to do, I haven't seen any evidence of that since they came back. But, you know, it's the current stuff. I mean, as I say, he's a disco ninny. The Doctor wouldn't go to a disco. Okay, I know we're going to get some clever clogs that'll say William Hartnell did in the War Machines, but he wasn't on the dance floor under a disco ball, was he? But he wasn't. It wasn't. It's totally different context. You know, what were they trying to achieve there?
Hartnell wasn't there dancing around a Zimmer frame, was he? He was there to get information and find out what was going on. That's where some of the
didn't see the dancing bit. That was later on.
After a few G&Ts, probably.
After a few G&Ts, a few whiskeys,
you know what I'm saying, guys, about this? You know, you look at that, what they gave us on Christmas, and also the 3 alleged 60th anniversary before. It was as far removed from Doctor Who. And what it did is it just, from what I can see, built on from the Chibnall stuff, rather than try and get it back to where it is, which is the Doctor in the TARDIS having adventures in time and space with monsters, really. Cybermatch Strikes, thank you to everybody that's in the chat. Please let us know what you're thinking. RTD Era 1 was successful as he was hungry, anxious, and eager to please audiences. Today, he's self-assured, arrogant, and self-righteous. I don't think the 60th landed a strong position. I'm not going to disagree with any of that. I totally believe it. Right. Yeah. Jamie Knight is here. Hello, Jamie. Nice to see you. Come on, Jinx is giving good villain there. What makes you say that, Jamie? Please let me know, because that's not a picture from that. Is from his own things. You know, what? Answer me. Why is a drag queen suddenly the most important villain in the Doctor's history? Daleks, Cybermen, Sontarans, even a Mandrill, for crying out loud. Drag queen, please. Please do explain to me, Jamie. That would be very good. What you think about that there? What we got here as well. Oh, look at this. Raymond is saying, can you believe anything RTD says when he states that the greatest star in the cosmos is heading to Doctor Who and her name is I can't, because it's a he. He's not. Jinx Monsoon is not a woman. It's a man in a dress. It's a drag queen. It's a bloke. I don't care how he describes himself. He's a fella.
It's just a more elaborate Danny LaRue from the 70s. Only Danny LaRue at least called himself Danny and was a bloke who dressed as a woman, which is all that other bloke is.
Yeah.
For some reason now, the modern way of looking at it is to treat them as if they are a woman, which is just delusional. Absolutely delusional.
I know there's there's an element of Russell being friends with Jinx Monsoon or whatever.
Nepotism playing a part, yeah.
but does Jinx Monsoon, I know, doing drag you are performing, but does he perform out with this as an actor at all, or is this just, like you say, nepotism?
I know he's been on Broadway and stuff, but has he been on Broadway himself, or is he on Broadway as Jinx Monsoon? And the fact that, it's just winding me up slightly with this. They're telling me I'm to trust, after what I've seen, I'm to trust this production team, not just Russell, but this production team with a show I've loved for 50 years. I'm just not in that position now where I can. And when I see this coming through, you've got this character Jinx. So how are they going to build this? Is this the fella that plays me, whose name I can't remember, playing Jinx Monsoon, playing the villain in the piece?
He'd be credited as Jinx Monsoon, wouldn't he? I would imagine. So whatever the character's called, musical Rani, played by Jinx Monsoon, whoever's going to be. Yeah,
which is just ridiculous, isn't it? Because it's a character, it's a fella portraying a character. So tell the truth. Digby's saying here, the problem with this is that established character like Doctor Who and distorting it. This is innovative, but what Chibnall and RTD here have done here is distortion. Mark Poskate, nice to see you. Good villain for Cinderella. Well, that's the point here, isn't it? That is the point, because that's what drag is in the United Kingdom. They've made it into something completely different in America, and no offense to people in America, but they have. They've made it completely different thanks to that old Crone's awful tacky show. I don't know. In Britain, it's a bloke in a frock telling hopefully un-PC jokes to an adult audience. It's not a way of life, really. It's their job. And the ones that are still around doing that are actually quite good at it, but they all know they're a bloke in a frock. Jamie saying, I just think Jinx looks intimidating and scary in the clips and pics I've seen. It does obviously remain to be seen how that pans out on screen in terms of good villain or not. It does. It absolutely does. And we can't do anything, Jamie, can we, until we actually see it. And of course, our review of that particular episode is going to be very interesting because I'm livid. I'll admit it now. I've prejudged it.
Can we have a wager now to see what the odds are that we're going to like the episode or not? And I'm trying to be open-minded about it.
I'm not. I'll admit it now. I'm prepared to hate it because of what this thing. And of course, in the UK, of course, drag queen at the moment, not all of it, but some of it, it's very sensitive area again. It's very problematic, as we say on this show. Sam is saying depicting a drag queen as a villain, is that a good thing? Won't it cause offence? Yes, Kirsty, I know, but I'm not going to mention him. Yes, we're going to be looking at that shortly as well. Thank you for all your chats. Keep them coming in. You're really going. So this is great. Thank you. I do wonder what they would do if, because you see, for some reason, a lot of drag people seem to. And certainly a lot of what gets the focus is that they seem to have an obsession with performing in front of children. And I don't get what the child obsession is. I think it's a little deviant and they probably need locking up, but that's just personal. I don't care. Well, some of the stories that come out, Ian, would back you up on that. Just some of them that you see. Yeah. But I wonder what they would do if between now and May, Jinx Mon, whatever his name is, was involved in something. I wonder what they do. Would that write their entire season off? Because I doubt even they would have the ball or the surgically removed balls to do that, to go ahead with it and televise it. I don't think they'd dare, especially if it was something that involved children, especially BBC, especially after Savile. I don't think they'd dare. This is one of the problems. This is one of the problems when you've written a series which is continual as well, isn't it? And so far ahead. I mean, you don't know, and it's probably not going to everything alleged. By the way, everything alleged. That's everything just alleged. Thought. Yeah. Obviously, we're not saying that it is. We're not saying anything about the character, the actor that's playing the roles there. We're not saying anything about that. But it's hypothetical. But yeah, I mean, it's just the fact that Joel Collins has come out into SFX magazine here and said this, you don't need to worry about Disney. At this point, I'm more worried about the production team a bad wolf.
I'm more worried about the fact they keep trying to reassure us that everything's okay. That's really worrying.
That's a good point.
If they were content and happy with what the product was, they wouldn't need to keep saying it's okay, don't panic, it's fine. It's really worrying.
Yeah.
Desperate to keep their audience.
Yeah. But what audience are they going for though? I mean, that's the problem. They have lost a huge audience, as we have seen through these ratings. I don't care what they're saying, over 7 million. I don't care what they're saying. There's an awful lot of division still in the fandom, as we know, and as are illustrating right now on this show. But the small amount of people that they're pandering to, because this all ties in with on the Doctor Who social media just this weekend. They did put a picture of what looks like this green creature thing. I don't know. I'm not going to show it, but there's this thing, and then Jinx Monsoon playing whomever he is playing in the show. And I read the comments, and it just made me laugh because all these very, very bizarre TQI cultists, basically. Oh, yay, Queen, yes, Queen. All that crap I can't stand. Learn to speak properly, for crying out loud, you idiots. Get to school. In fact, probably that's not the best thing to do because the education systems around the world are all screwed now, aren't they? But I just couldn't. All it was all this nonsense. And I just thought, what the hell? Are you actually saying you're Doctor Who fans? In which case, you're a part of a Doctor Who fandom I don't necessarily want to get involved with. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I don't really recognise fandom how I knew it. I don't see the continuation from when I was a fan up to now. There's a completely different attitude and aggression that it has, which was never like that.
Well, it's true, isn't it? And the elements that they've brought in since that announcement in 2017, and which they've encouraged, I think it's harmed the show personally. Garbage is saying, after the first episodes I've seen, I am not looking forward anymore. I don't think a lot of us are. I won't speak for these two, but I'm not either, mate. I have to say.
I said in our review the other night there about season 15, I'm more excited about Underworld than season 1.
Cybermatch Strikes is saying, I'm prepared to like it. I want to like it. But if they go the Chibnall route, I'm not going to hang on. They already have, mate. They already have. They're just building on it. You could tell that. They've written off the Doctor that was supposed to be our Doctor to replace him with this dancing ninny due to that bi-regeneration nonsense. And stay tuned with us because we're going to be looking at bi-regeneration and all that in a future show. So do, if you haven't already, please subscribe and ring the bell so you get notification of when we're talking about all that nonsense. Bedouir is saying, yes, Queen, give me strength. Exactly. It gets on my tits. Kirsty's also going slake. Where's that language come from? America. Of course it has, but it's got no place in the United Kingdom as far as I'm concerned. Call me old-fashioned. I don't care. Oh, there's more comments going in the box there down below when they get this one, I tell you.
You're old-fashioned, GT. You're old-fashioned.
I know, yeah. I don't care. It's called common sense in this house, I tell you.
Exactly, yeah.
Raymond is saying, Shooty and Millie have already admitted that stories will have a leftist leaning. My leftist leanings will be different to theirs. Exactly, Raymond. As a mate of mine said to me, who's also called Raymond, by the way, a few weeks ago, he said to me, and he's quite profound when he wants to be my pal, and he said to me, we didn't leave the left left us. And I thought, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's incredible, that, isn't it? It's just, oh, goodness me. Absolutely true. So, yeah, I thought that was interesting. That's Joel Collins with SFX magazine talking about how we need to worry about the Disney factor because RTD's there. So he's suggesting that RTD is more or less controlling what Disney are doing. Where do you think that lies, you two? Do you think that is the case?
I think that's bullshit. I think the mouse controls Davis, not the other way around.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I think it's definitely they're in charge. He's definitely not. And like you said earlier, Ian, I think they have to kowtow to the money, and that's what's happening.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting.
It's all they're relying on. But it's interesting that comment that was just up a couple of minutes ago saying that they've admitted that the stories will be more left-leaning. Yeah. Because with Ofcom having a greater view on the BBC and everything, and especially its online content, and I think it was iPlayer as well, and because they're relying a lot more on iPlayer and pushing iPlayer, if they start doing stuff that isn't politically neutral and they get complaints, there's a lot more chance that they'll get upheld through Ofcom than they ever would have. They'd never have even been looked at if they were dealt with by the BBC. whereas like they never were. But if it's under Ofcom and they go particularly one way, then they'll be seen worse than the likes of Lineker, and he's not showing the BBC in a good light at all.
Oh, no, of course he's not. But it will be interesting because, of course, a few weeks ago we reported that 144 households had complained to the BBC about the trans agenda and the use of personal pronouns in the Star Beast. So a lot of people, of course, come out saying, "Oh, it was only 144." That's irrelevant. It's still 144 license fee payers that have complained. They are contributing towards the costs of the BBC. That's been written off, and of course, we all know. We don't know. We all assume that inside the BBC they go, "Oh, bigots, you're right wing. Oh, you're hateful people. We won't look at those complaints." But that particular character is coming back in the next series, and if he goes down that route again of pushing all that sort of stuff and using these things and get complaints again, what could happen that time? It'd be very interesting to see if anything that's been complained about recently will be upheld in any future complaints. You know,
I wonder what might happen is because Disney is worldwide, and all the streaming rights are worldwide apart from the UK. Obviously, that's going through the BBC. Whether you might eventually get two versions of this show. You'll get one for UK and one for the rest of the world, because obviously, or different regions around the world, because people have different attitudes to different things. So who knows? And if Disney are pushing things as well and wanting change for what they want, you might get different versions the way it's going.
That is interesting, isn't it, Paul? I mean, that's going to cost them again. That's going to cost them.
They'd have to edit things. I mean, they could take scenes out rather than reshooting stuff.
Exactly.
They could do that, you know.
Exactly.
And you have the 20-minute version.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's too late for them now, because I think Shooty's first season must be set more or less in stone by now, possibly with music and stuff added, maybe a few effects, but I think that must be there now. The second season, as we know, and we're just about to come to, is being filmed right now, and he's got 3 and 4 planned. We will be discussing all this, of course. Again, we're going to revisit this, both on headlines and our reviews of the episodes of these things that are coming.
They're not going to sell it in China, are they? China's got this long history of taking all black actors off film posters and things like that, don't they? Because they don't really do it. Yeah. So they're never going to flog Shooty's Doctor Who to a huge market like China.
It's
but different areas with different issues towards trans or gay or whatever, gay rights, all that kind of stuff. There's lots of areas that will have problems with the content around the world. So it's going to have implications all over the place, which is
but from what's coming out from there, from the way they've, as Garbage was saying, the way they're talking to fans, but also treating the public, it's just dictatorial. They are telling us, you are wrong, we are right, you will listen, this is going into your favorite television show. They've been doing it now for a little while. It's not just this new production team, but they don't care. And they don't care that the ratings have gone down. They don't care that allegedly the sales of merchandise has gone down. They don't care about any of that. I think they're going to have a very rude awakening coming very, very soon. Ecstatic Brickers with us. Nice to see you. Nothing makes me disinterested in the world multiverse, and I really hate this Whoverse direction. Yes, I know what you're saying on that. It is complicated. Troy, hiya, Troy. RTD was always the destroyer of Doctor Who. I blame him for everything. Sometimes I do wonder, Troy, whether this was his game plan all along, get us all on board, make himself look good. It was like somebody was saying before, make him look good originally and then come back and get this. Raymond is saying it was only 144 complaints, but 250,000 less tuned in the next week. I always say this as well, because not everybody now complains. They won't pick up the phone or they won't email or whatever reason it is, but the biggest complaint is the off switch. Absolutely. Tony is saying, can't we just have a show that just has adventure and no gender or sexuality that I can show to my grandkids without explaining it to them? Yes, you can. It's the original. Go and get the originals. You know that, Tony, as well, because you love the original shows just as much as we do. Huge fan. And Garbage is saying, I think RTD is woke. Disney is saying you are not woke enough. It's a bad formula. What were we thinking going with Disney? What business model of Disney were they looking at? Disney is killing everything. I'd love to know what all the competitors were, because apparently everybody was interested in streaming this thing and taking it around the world. And Digby is asking, I wonder how leftist you can be under the thumb of multi-million-dollar corporations. Disney is kind of the apotheosis of capitalism.
Yeah.
Ooh, you are an intelligent lot watching this channel, aren't they? Aren't they? Just woof, absolutely. No, but brilliant. That's fantastic. There, it is going to be. It's going to be one of these subjects that we're going to come back to a lot on this channel, I think, because they can't help themselves. Yeah, they keep. We've said this off air, haven't we, Ian? They keep giving us all this information, Paul, and all this stuff, and they keep making the headlines for us. So when they make a headline, we're going to talk about it.
Gift that keeps on giving. I think it's interesting, though, that if there's something that we like, perhaps, that isn't trans obsessed and utterly woke, and it gets one complaint from that lobby. One complaint is enough with the BBC to affect change. It always is. They just need one, and that's it. But the other way, 144 dismissed. It's irrelevant, and it's and yet it's the same lobby that's just wanting equality and everybody to be the same and equal rights, except when it suits them. Then they just want total domination. It's
said. And that's why Ofcom are now getting. We're seeing Ofcom getting involved with this, of course, because
the ratings as well.
Yeah, and as we reported, a lot of everyday Joe on the streets of the United Kingdom says they're not interested in the BBC now. Some of them don't have the license. We've mentioned so many times about how many people have cancelled the license. They don't like the output. All the good dramas that are shown by the BBC have to have the certain 20% quota to get shown on the BBC. It's very odd what the BBC is today, and Doctor Who, unfortunately, is one of those examples of it. Raymond's saying here they've released the Fugitive Doctor figure. We're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, saw that. Yeah.
Not at all. Yeah, and I'd say this is something we're going to be coming back to on the channel. So stay with us. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and ring that bell so you get notification, because as soon as they give us a headline, we're going to be here talking about it. Speaking of which, in the last couple of weeks, of course, we've been speaking an awful lot about ratings. And you may remember our show that we did last week, Gladiators Trounce the Doctor, which led to some very interesting comments. Thank you for those. All views are welcome here. Honestly, they are. But
to debate, though, are we?
But they are very interesting comments. So I'll be interested to see what this show generates with all those, because I'm sure they'll all come back and look at us. But in the interest of fairness, of course, we did say that we would be looking at Gladiators again, and we can do. Now, if you remember on last week's headlines, we reported the fact that the overnight figures for the first episode, if you like, of the show Gladiators UK, which returned after 20 odd years off air on BBC One on Saturday at 5:20 last week, garnered 6.4 million on the overnights. I'm still waiting for the consolidated. I should have those in the next couple of days, so we will be reporting those on some point. However, we did say we'd be looking at the overnights for episode 2, and they are in. Episode 2 broadcast on Saturday, the 20th of January at 5:20 on BBC One, and the figures went down. It got 5.4 on the overnights. It was, however, the biggest draw on Saturday night television, with Gladiators 5.4. Big Show, which is Michael McIntyre's show, I believe, that got 4.9. The Masked Singer UK over on the ITV got 3.5. Limitless Win, don't know what that is, 2.9. And Wheel of Fortune, another bloody old show making a return, that got 2.4. So again, appointment viewing for the first episode went down the week after. It's very interesting what was going on Saturday night, apart from our show to celebrate Tom's 90th birthday.
Yeah, it was Tom's birthday after all. Yeah. What was interesting about Michael McIntyre's show? Apparently, they got complaints as well because
they did.
Bradley Walsh was on it.
I mean, that sort of thing has to be staged.
So,
It has to be staged, that sort of stuff, really. But yes, Gladiators, episode 2, 5.4 million. So down on the first episode. It'd be interesting to see what the consolidators for part 1 and 2 is, because something was obviously going. Some people were obviously out. We'll see what part 3 is like as well, Paul.
Well, that's it. I mean, I think Phil's probably watched it 3 or 4 times by now, isn't he? I would have thought.
With his kids. Because that was the important thing. Phil came to tell us about the first episode last week, and he was telling that his little kids, our youngest Who viewers, loved it. They got into it immediately. And because there wasn't a second episode or a third episode, or the series drop on the iPlayer, he had to show them some of the 90s ones. So they loved that as well. So something did go on there, though, didn't it? Really, it's something was odd there to make that drop. But we're not justifying it anyway. I just thought it was interesting, and I did say we would return to it. So there you go, 5.4 for Gladiators Show 2.
To be fair, JT, there was a storm over the weekend in the UK, so maybe there's some blackouts, power cuts. Who knows? They couldn't get to watch it.
That's an excellent point, actually, because there were blackouts around, wasn't there? But, it's not as if we're Gladiators fans and we're justifying a poor figure like certain Doctor Who fans do.
No.
We're not going down that route. We're not going to start Who's Views Reviews Gladiators. Not a chance.
Still will be disappointed in that.
Mind you, there is all that lycra to look at, and the outfits do need to be criticised, don't they?
Move on.
Okay, we are going to move on now. I'm being told to move on now, and we are going to move on now because there was a storm in a teacup, to coin a phrase, this weekend in Doctor Who fandom, and we're just about to add one lump or two ourselves because, of course, it leaked. It's not been announced officially by the sources of BBC Studios, Bad Wolf, and Disney Plus, but yes, the big headline was: Millie Gibson has exited the TARDIS. Now, this is from the Daily Mirror. Doctor Who companion Millie Gibson dropped from the new series of BBC show as replacement revealed. The decision for Ruby to exit so soon will shock fans who expected her to stretch out her time travelling across at least 2 full series. She only made her first appearance as the character Ruby Sunday last month in the 2023 Christmas special. Doctor Who companion Millie Gibson is being dropped from the BBC, so reported the Mirror, the BBC sci-fi fiction show, and will be replaced for Ncuti Gatwa's second series by actress Varada Sithu. The decision by showrunner Russell T Davies to write out the former Coronation Street star who plays Orphan Ruby Sunday was made last year after filming on her first run ended. The shock twist, not anymore, will come as a surprise to fans who only watched her on-screen debut in the festive episode last month. Now, I'm asking, seriously, was this worth all the attention it got in the fandom at the weekend? I mean, we've had one series companions before for lots of different reasons. Caroline John, Mary Tam, Freema Agyeman, there's, Ian Marta. There's quite a lot of reasons. I mean, guys, what was your take on this particular headline?
Well, I think it's very emotive, dropped. It's not like that at all. What it make it sound like? It sounded like she did the church on Ruby Road and she'd left. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like she's not doing anything else after that. But she's done an entire series, and she's going to be in a little episode like Martha was through season 2. So what's the problem? Like you said, there's been one season companions before. It's not a problem at all.
Ian?
I'm just wondering who briefed the press, because everybody's talking about it, which is exactly what Russell T Davies would have wanted.
Yeah, true.
We have to say that, of course, the story broke in the Daily Mirror, and as we showed in our Sharda show last night, I'm going to get that on a T-shirt. As we said in the show last night, when we talked about Sharda, the Daily Mirror, the Daily Mirror has been around Doctor Who for decades because they, we've shown this before. We know this. They are good at breaking the stories around Doctor Who. They were also one of the first to break the Eccleston story on the Night of Rose back in 2005. Mm-hmm. But this has now been taken up in the UK by a couple of the other tabloids, and the headlines weren't that favourable either. They were quite tacky, actually. Yeah. And also, some of it was quite nasty. They're blaming the fact that she's left the show because she was a diva. Can you prove that? Or is it just we've got to remember this. She's a kid. She's 18, 19 years old. She's gone from one huge British show to another huge British show. I just thought it was all very much a storm in a teacup with this. And if she is leaving the series, I mean, Quiz, we know. And actually, who was it there? Let me just give a shout out there to Jamie. Yes, look, she's been cited on set for series 2. Yeah, you're right. You're right to say that. Most companions do about 1 or 2 series with the odd exception. So what's new? Exactly what's new. And I must admit, Ian, with your point there, was this leak to get some publicity? Because there's been no official announcement of Millie leaving, because obviously it's not going to happen till 2025. And the new person who's coming in won't be seen until 2025. That's the problem when you're doing it so far in advance, though, isn't it? You're going to get leaks.
Yeah,
also,
and I think that. Go on.
Carry on.
I was just going to say, I think they've got they've made a scheduling cock up, haven't they? Let's be right by saying it's coming on in May. So they're realizing that they have quite a large gap to fill and try and keep people interested, try and keep people watching, and stuff like this will trickle out all the time, I think, to be honest.
Sorry, this, though, it sounds. What gets me though is because they have done it so far in advance, leaks are inevitable, but it ruins any narrative for the show because you don't have any tension of when someone's going to leave.
Yeah.
With Eccleston, that was really unfortunate because you didn't want the Doctor to leave or find out he's regenerating at the end of the series. You want to have a surprise of that. Or any fan,
that would have been an amazing surprise, wouldn't it, Paul?
Yeah.
It would have been a huge surprise. We would have all just gone, duh!
Yeah.
But that's the problem with them going so far. And the fact is that nowadays, of course, you cannot hide anything. Once you are out on the streets of Cardiff, you are out on the streets of Cardiff. I want to say thank you to Troy. He's just subscribed and liked. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Welcome to Who's Views. I was just so disappointed about this. Oh, Tardy Spider, hello. Hope you are well. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. I just thought to myself when I saw all this, it's absolute nonsense, isn't it? It's absolute nonsense. And you know, as Jamie was saying, what's the big deal? There is no big deal. If she actually said in the Fabric magazine that we covered a few weeks ago that she was off looking for other roles, possibly in America, good for her and good luck to her. And if her time is done in Doctor Who, that's an actor's life. You do your contract. There's nothing to say. And I want some of the fans in fandom as well to know about this, that were a little bit sort of critical about this as well. Oh, she's gone already. What do you mean she's gone already? It's an actor's life. You get one contract. It doesn't mean you're going to be in the show for 3-4 years. You go contract. And if you've got a showrunner or a producer or something that says, right, your character's done now because we've got this plan, then that's the actor's life. You go. Isn't that right, Paul? You just go.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that happens all the time, you know. In any series, any program, you know, there's a narrative, a plan of how they're going to develop the characters. And again, they don't really know at this point how well received she's going to be. So they're trying to probably hedge their bets a bit as well, aren't they, in terms of the plot. You know?
Well, possibly. I mean, she's in 3 episodes of series 2, apparently. Out of 3 out of 8 isn't bad if you're bringing in a new one. I mean, you know, there's only 8 episodes a year now, 9 if you count the Christmas ones. It's not as if you're going to be as heartbroken as we were when Leela left after a year, for example, or Ramon 1 left after a year, and you didn't know because they were on for 24, 26 weeks. So we really got to know them.
at least they're going with one companion, one Doctor situation. Although when you have the new companion coming in, it dilutes it, especially if you've got less episodes because there's no time to explore them, you know?
Exactly. It really was a mountain out of a molehill, in my opinion, when it came to this. And I wasn't very impressed with a lot of the British press attention to this, which I would call column fillers. Absolutely, just column fillers. Let's grab something and expand on it, as they did with this. This was the headline, or one of the headlines from the Daily Mail or the Mail Online. Doctor Who's Ncuti Gatwa breaks his silence over co-star Millie Gibson. Breaks his silence! I'm sure he was just having his life and working, to be quite honest. Breaks his silence over co-star Millie Gibson being dropped from the show after just 1 series. The up-and-coming 2024 season of the smash hit sci-fi show will return to screens in May for an 8-episode run. And after the news became public, and again, I stress there has been no official word from BBC Studios, Bad Wolf, or Disney Plus. But after the news became public, Ncuti took to his Instagram stories and shared a photo with Millie and wrote, quote, "My lil heart emoji." Now that's youth speak, which I can't understand, so here it is. This is his Instagram, Ncuti Gatwa's own Instagram. There you go. That would be, actually, for me, I'm interpreting that as Ncuti sending some support to his co-star for having to go through this, because she's probably been aware that they had a plan. They would have had a plan to announce this, wouldn't they? And now it's just been wrecked.
Yeah.
And she was getting some, and with social media now, you know, I'd hate to be in that situation now. At least Eccleston didn't have to deal with social media. She's going to have to deal with social media. The production team are they must be livid today. They must be absolutely livid in Cardiff, don't you think?
Well, all the surprises that they have coming have been let out of the bag, haven't they? And there's no surprise. There's no, oh look, she's leaving. Oh no, I really like that character. All that kind of stuff. None of that.
Well, to be honest, there's nobody there to watch it, really, are they? Because obviously, it depends. We'll be talking about this as we start looking through the 8 episodes that are on the way. But is the British public going to connect with the new Doctor and this new companion? Even more so now that people who buy those particular papers or have seen it online are going to go, oh, well, that one's leaving anyway. Will they give themselves a chance to get over to it? I don't know. I really, really don't know. Thanks, TARDIS Bite, for doing that. Bedouir is saying, Ncuti and the new companion were seen filming today in Penarth. They absolutely were. And it's the new companion that we're going to come to now. Thank you for everything. All your chats. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. The new companion, allegedly, I'm going to say alleged, even though she was seen today on Penarth, because sometimes they could do a twist and say she's a companion for one.
Yeah.
They've done that before. They did that with, what was it, Michelle Ryan?
Yeah.
And then they did it again with Waters Mars with, what's her name? Beautiful actress, and I can't remember her blooming name now.
Yeah,
but here we go. Here it is here. Doctor Who star Millie Gibson to be replaced by Verado Setu after 1 season. The shock, the horror of it. Yes, so this says here, Jurassic World Dominion actor Verado Setu will star opposite Ncuti Gatwa as the Doctor's companion in the 15th season of the show. Now, look at this. This is Variety. Variety got in on the act here. This is just bizarre. Gibson will return as Ruby in the up-and-coming 14th season, which is set to drop in on May at the BBC in the UK and Disney Plus internationally. But for season 15, which is currently shooting in Wales, Setu will play Gatwa's companion. A source confirmed. It's always a source. No other details have been revealed about her role, and Setu has previously appeared in Andor and Mrs. Sid Who Investigates. So here she is. Here she is. This is the new girl, as we used to say back in the day. And as I've just mentioned there, yes, she's been in Jurassic World Dominion. Now You See Me 2, Andor, which is part of the Star Wars series, Dr. Foster, and Strike Back. And, as Bedouir said, they were seen filming today in Penarth.
Oh, yeah.
There's Ncuti again, sporting another one. Now, do you know what? This gives me 50s vibe in America. If you look at the car, if you look at the shoes, if you look at the style of it, maybe she's an actress, maybe she's from the 50s, maybe it's a time travel episode. I don't know, but it does look like it's got an American feel to me, gentlemen. What do you think?
Yeah, I quite like his outfit there. Quite taken by that. Yeah.
It's a bit more doctory in a way.
A little bit, yeah. Maybe it's the bow tie. That's what it is.
Yeah, bow tie. Sure.
And the Sylvester McCoy shoes.
Exactly, that's what I was thinking too. Yeah.
But that's them today filming in Penarth. So there she is. So if this is true, because as I say, if this is true, of course that's true. But if she is the new companion, and as I say, it's not been confirmed yet, but welcome aboard. Welcome aboard, because she's got a great body of work behind her. I do remember her in Andor as well, actually. And I'm going to say it as well. She's a significant age. With that sort of age, she's in her 30s. So it's not the usual young person.
So you might get more of a Donna vibe with her, perhaps, rather than...
Yes, thank you for saving my life there. Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
One thing that was also disappointing at all from fandom as well was the amount of implications that this possible new TARDIS team could say. Yes, a lot of fans were coming out about this is going to be the first non-white TARDIS crew in the show's history. I'm going to ask everybody. I'm going to ask you all in the chat. Does it really matter? Are we that? Does it matter? Yeah. I know it does matter to some, obviously, and it's very strange where it came from. I was very disappointed to see this first non-white TARDIS team. What an incredible day for progress. Now, how ironic is that message on Twitter or X? I mean, can you see the irony in this? First non-white TARDIS team, question mark, what an incredible day for progress. That's not progress. You actually tweeting something like that at all? That's ironic because you've just actually illustrated it's not progress. Well, I don't understand these people that are so obsessed with labels and branding of a human being. You know, it's the talent that should shine through. It's very, very sad, don't you think, guys?
It is, and the talent of talent, they look great together. I have to say that we make a good couple of Doctor and companion. So I'm quite taken by that picture. I have to say, GT, it looks quite intriguing.
Yeah, I'll show it again in a minute. In the chat, we've got Peter joining us. Hi, panel. Raymond is still pointing out Martha, Donna, Bill. Oh, there are so many one-season companions when you look at the history of the show. I don't know. It just wound me up a little bit. They're all going, hang on a minute, look at this. Peter is also saying, oh yes, they're dancing. Oh, Kirsty's saying it's Miami, and she's saying that with confidence, so it must be. She's seen something else there, obviously, that it must be set in Miami. Maybe she's playing an American again. God help us. Maybe maybe they're just time traveling there. Who knows?
Her name's not Pepper Gilliam, is it? For God's sake.
Oh, bless. Can you imagine if we're getting another one there? No, not the pink bow tie. Right, Garbage is saying, so one day after the leak announcement, they are seen on set. I'm confused. Why not confirm it? Who knows what their plan is? Who knows? But they do obviously have a plan, and by God, they seem to be sticking to it. Because if you're going to put that in today, I would have done the same thing. Do you know what I mean? I would have said, oh, right, let's screw all this. Yes, we're going to season 2, and here's our new one, and here's a press release for her, and let's all make it lovely and fantastic, rather than just, unless she is a one-off companion and it's all a red herring. Darren is saying the image has got Back to the Future vibes. It does. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. And Ecstatic Brick is saying in Andor, she must have said 10 words total. She's another Disney actress that turns up in everything, just like the woman from Solo, Willow, Cap, and Winter Soldier. A friend of mine actually said that as well, Ecstatic Brick, saying, oh, look, it's another Disney actress. That's handy, isn't it? TARDIS Spider saying it's a first. It's always important to certain people. You're right. And again, it's all irony there, isn't it? Really, I don't know. It's all one of these things, isn't it? Really, I'll show that picture again for you, because there they are, this afternoon on the streets of Penarth in sunny Wales, filming season 2. So it looks like we're going to get 2 companions in season 2. If Garbage is right, going to do. Millie's doing 3, and then this lady takes over and does the rest.
I have to say, I'm intrigued by being a follically challenged gentleman myself. I'm interested to see that Shooty's got hair again, because there's lots of, maybe he just has hair when he goes back in time, because it's really weird. Just the Beatles one, he's got hair. This is the 50s, he's got hair. What's going on with that? I don't know. How did that work?
Well, in the 60s one that's coming up in series 1, he's got the hair, isn't he? So I'm expecting a line. I'm expecting that I regenerated it or something like that.
It's like Mr. Potato Head. You kind of wind him up and it comes out. You know, it's weird. You know, sort of.
So I think we're all agreed, though, aren't we, on the panel here, that it was a big storm in a teacup about this news that Ms. Gibson has left the show. If indeed she has left the show, I'm going to say it again, there's been no official confirmation. Maybe they're doing a couple of episodes where he's traveling with 2 ladies in the TARDIS. That's also a Doctor Who tradition that RTD will be aware of. We have to wait for the official confirmations for this. We have to wait for the official confirmations of other stuff as well. But to actually let those headlines go this weekend as well, I just thought, and then the reaction to it was a little bit over the top, in my personal opinion. Look, calm down, everyone. This happens all the time.
Well, just wait till Shooty leaves. It's going to go crazy, because that'll be the end of the year. That'll be the next one we're going to get. So.
Well, we'll see if it does, isn't it? You know, if that's going to happen, we'll see how the reaction to that. Personally, I don't think the public care. Go on, Liam.
No, I was agreeing with you. I don't think they do either. I completely agree with you. I think the general viewing public is way over Doctor Who. Way over.
Certainly in the United Kingdom, and it looks like it is across the pond as well. The news series will tell us that. Alien Airplane said, my original thoughts when hearing this news was Millie completed her character arc. Exactly. Exactly. And Tony is saying to us, the TARDIS dressing room now is a wig room.
Great idea.
Yeah, Paul, you and I should visit it.
We should, yes. Have lots of fun in there, I'd imagine, yes.
Oh, I think so. I'd come out with a great big 70s afro, blonde, because I used to be blonde. I think, woo, walk down the street, yeah, woo.
Fantastic, yeah. What's the about Shooty, though, and the Doctor in general, whether the general public are interested or not, I think it's a shame that we don't get a Doctor who plays it longer than 3 years, or this 3-season rule, because they need to establish themselves with the general public. You can't just do it in 1 series or 2 series. You need to get people to like you unless you're Tom Baker. You know what I mean? That's the thing.
The problem with today's show is, as I said it before, a lot of these actors are coming into the show using it as a vehicle to get into America.
Yeah.
You know, and that's it. And now, you know, I can understand in Tennant and Smith's and Capaldi's day, because they were doing 14 episodes a year, and they were living in Cardiff for 9 to 10 months of the year. That's a lot. That's a hell of a commitment for 3 years.
Because I feel as a fan, I'm going, oh, it's changed again. You know, the general audience must feel the exact same thing.
They do.
Who's Doctor Who this week? Again, must feel like, you know.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's certainly something Chibnall brought in.
Yeah. Who's Doctor Who every week? Yes.
Ooh, naughty. Jamie's saying if they film series 3 to 4 back to back, we might get a 4-series Doctor. And Troy is saying to us, I can't wait to hear how ridiculous it's going to be. Will it be New Who in its final grotesque form? I actually think, mate, that it will be. I think it's on its last legs. I have to say, I think this is the end. But time will tell, as the 7th Doctor used to say, and we'll be here to help you with it. Listen, I want to say thank you to everybody that's been watching us here on this edition of Headlines here at Who's Views. I hope you've enjoyed these particular headlines. Thank you also to Paul and, of course, Dr. Ian for their contribution and their opinions on this. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, because whenever they give us a headline, we'll be here to talk about it. Until we see you again on Headlines and on Who's Views, have a great rest of the night. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you again shortly. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.